calm down, calm door, and get this meeting started. Welcome everybody's here. I got somebody that's coming to the front door, the back door, and they're in a handicap spot. It might be a little while before they come in.
Maybe waiting on me.
Oh, they waiting on you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just saw the meeting started. I said, okay. Glad everybody showed up tonight, and we're going to take care of business, and we're going to take care of more business next week. But right now, we're going to do a pledge, invocation, we're going to do a pledge, and so, chapter not here none, I'll lead prayer, then we'll have a pledge. Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you for the blessings of the day. Give us the strength, courage, and wisdom to make the proper decision for the city of Lula. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, it's time for citizens' comments. If I didn't want to say, well, got 3 minutes to say it. If not, we'll do it again in the meeting, and nobody's interested in talking today, so we'll continue on. Everybody seen the agenda, any changes to make to the agenda? I entertain a motion to approve it.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion made by Denise, second by Tony to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. All right. Everybody got copies of minutes from last month's meeting. See if you can change, let change note during the week. And, yeah, we'll vote in this week. All right, the other month, springtime, folks. Things are starting to bloom, so we're going to have better luck finding free yards this month. Y'all let Tandy know this week, yard of the month, and we'll announce it next week. Okay, let's count the money, Frank.
All right, this is as of today. We basically have $1.7 million in the general fund, $232,000 in the water fund, water and wastewater fund. The deposit account, you have $105,000. Water tap fees, you have $182,000. The sewer tap fees, you have $2.2 million, but $1 million of that is owed back to SPLOST from the sewer line that we put in 2 years ago, so we need to refund that. Then the escrow account has $105,000 in it, and that's basically if we hit financial hard times, we can still make our G for loan payment, what that represents. All County SPLOST, currently $1.9 million. Banks County SPLOST 2017, $166,000. Banks County T-SPLOST, $313,000. ARPA is an incorrect number. It's $590,000. I apologize for that. But your total funds are unrestricted funds is $1.9 million, and your restricted funds are $7.2 million. That's any
One
question.
question, Frank.
Yes.
Bank Hall County SPLOST aid, is that 1.9 million including the 1 million that come back from the?
No.
So actually, it's gonna be two.
That'll be 2.9, yes,
The Hall County?
yes. We made the last couple of payments to the construction crew out of SPLOST rather than the Jeep alone. So,
Thank you.
all right, the next part, moving on, the open item is the financial software that you tabled till this evening. And some of you have left your packets here, so they're in there. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer it.
We have a opportunity to share some information with the rest of council. I know I tried to reach out to all council this week with some new information that I uncovered on the potential vendors for the financial software. Right now, we're considering Edmunds and also BS&A. And I know that we have been given some, preliminary information prior to from others that are in accounting experience that have served with the city of Lula in the past. I was, we were able to see presentations from both providers, and they both, gave good, both products can, serve the needs, but one does stand out above the other in the aspect of what is their perceived longevity. Now, these are both private companies, so you can't find their profit, like their P&E ratios or anything like that. But what we did find is that it appears that BS&A invests more of their revenue back into their developers. And that, of course, is coming from various sources like Glassdoor, some of the own information that's provided on BS&A's website. So I just wanted to let you know that BS&A is coming in favorable from other resources that are out there ranking them, but also from others in our region that also have used them. So it echoed some of the things that I had heard from meeting with some of the other cities at various training events. The topic would come up as we talked about, financials and, various courses that I was taking. And they were asking, what financial software, are you using? And we weren't even considering it at the time changing. But BS&A did stand out as those that had made recent switches. Now, the other thing to consider is CSI Harris. We look at their annual, which was what, $28,000 right now, annual.
Actually, it's 38, and the new proposal would have been 38 too.
Right.
So.
And so obviously the two vendors are both significantly lower than that, at what, 17 and 18 and 19.
They're $600 apart. So one's at about 17.8, and another one's about 18.4.
Yeah. I just wanted to share, just my recommendation, and it was the recommendation of the Finance Committee to promote BS&A as the alternative that we should invest in. Even though BS&A has a higher upfront cost, their monthly or their annual cost is lower, of course, slightly than the other vendor, which was Edmunds. So I just wanted to throw that out there that I would be recommending, as well as the committee recommending, BS&A for the longevity of the product and how, where they're investing their money back into development of features as opposed to just development for onboarding purposes. But again, both can solve it. Both can solve the issues. And BS&A does also come in more favorable in the fact that they have a shorter timeline of implementation, and I know that was critical to us. So in addition to the costs and the investments that they are doing, the timeline of the expectation of when they can be fully implemented is also favorable as well. That's all I needed to say. Thank you.
I want to add one other thing, that they also offer unlimited users where Edmunds did not in that aspect too. I think 10, and if somebody else needed to log on, somebody else had to log off to free up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to add on to that as members of council, we all would have access to run reports and queries if we're ever investigating anything or curious about where we are in any particular account. So if it was a question of do we really need that many licenses, or at least account access licenses, yeah, we very well could hit that 10. Yeah. So that's something. Thank you for bringing that up, Denise. Appreciate that.
Anybody else got any discussion on it or thoughts on it? My committee made a recommendation to approve the BSA bid All in favor of accepting this bid, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. It's unanimous. And that was the only book I only had tonight, the rest of the discussion. All right, Frank, pest control,
Yes,
besides me.
this is an item that was left over from Dennis. Dennis had been talking to Cook's Pest Control, as far as I can tell, at least 2 years, and it never came forward, but currently we have no pest control on any of our buildings, and we also do not have any termite services on to any of our structures. So, had Cook's update their information. I also reached out to Arrow to ask them to give us cost comparisons. The buildings we're looking at is the depot, the wastewater treatment plant, and the bell press out there, Old City Hall, this City Hall, the City Hall Annex, and Public Works. So those were the structures we were looking at. Pest control services, basically Arrow was about $900 less than Cook's at $3,600, and Cook was $4,680. The termite services, Cook's was actually for the initial period was less at $3,708 versus Arrow's exterminating, which was $4,398. So that's basically a $690 swing. So that was year one. Year two and beyond, the rates changed. So Cook's basically is $2,183 in year two, and Arrow drops to $1,375, so $808 less. So the savings in the first 2 years, if we went with one of those two, Arrow exterminators would be $118 less overall. The Arrow folks would come out of the Gainesville office. The Cook's Pest Control will come out of Alto. So I was just trying to gauge your feelings. Is this something that you want us to pursue these buildings, or drop it in its entirety? And there is some termite damage out of Public Works, and the depot also has some termite damage.
I think it's something valuable for us to look into. It's something we need. I have an opinion of which one I would choose over the other, based on prior experience, but
No, I was just trying to bring it forward, to get some feedback, and like I said, this is one that Dennis had started, and I know the woman that has been with Cooks, she has been, haven't seen her, but then lately she's been back in the picture trying to re-engage, so. Any other questions or suggestions, comments?
So what do you need from us, Frank? Nothing tonight?
If you're fine with moving forward, I would prepare, we'll talk with it at the community level, but we have a plan on having it on next week's agenda for a decision.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah, I'm good with,
Appreciate the
good
information.
with that. I don't really know anything about either one.
Do what?
I said I don't know anything about either one of those. The companies.
They're both,
I mean, I've heard of them, I just don't.
they're both
personally.
regional companies, you know.
Yeah, I've heard of both of them, I just hadn't had any dealings with either.
I dealt with both of them, they both,
I think either one of them be okay.
Pretty qualified.
yeah. All right, we can move on to the next item. I think this is one that's been discussed for a while. It's trying to put out bids for our solid waste and commercial waste pickup. Joey and I talked a little bit, because we entered into the new 5-year period in 2023. We would need to sit down and talk about why we're trying to break the contract as it is. But the other side of that coin is we've been under this contract since 2000 and...
It's either 8 or 13, I don't remember which one was it.
It's early. So we've been with them for at least about 20 years at this point, which is kind of unique. Usually your initial periods are three years with 2 additional 1-year periods, and you can renew, but I don't know anybody that's in their 5th renewal cycle. So that's unique. And each of you have had the opportunity to let Tangi and me and Steve at Waste Management know that you're unhappy with services as they are. So this is my draft. I know Joey has a few changes he wanted to make, but our intent is to bring this forward to you next week for a decision to let us put it out for bid. And part of the reason for doing it this early is if we do select another vendor, they generally want at least 90 days, probably 100 days to gear up and be ready to roll. So that's why we're trying to do it that far in advance. 30 days after bid, give us time to review it, interview, talk to people, and then select a vendor and then give them time to get ready. And I know that's a lot. It's actually only 13 pages, so for me that's kind of short. But if you go to in here, one of the things I did ask for is, bear with me. Insurance.
I do have one thing to add.
Yes,
It's number 2, the overview.
yes, sir.
Item D, which is the collection equipment, it talks about vehicles and signage and markings and things. I wanted to see if we could add that the proposals include not only, just the type and number of vehicles, but to include the gross vehicle weight rating, so that we have a clear understanding of what size vehicle they're intending to bring into the community.
All right. And we can put it there. They also bring it up again during interviews sessions. And then if you go to page 9, one of the things that I specifically put in there are the canned services that we would expect to receive free of charge. Obviously, we're paying for it in the bill, okay, but there's not an additional charge for us. So number 1 is to maintain 3 96-gallon cans here with once a week pickup. 2, to maintain 6 96-gallon cans for at least once a week pickup. And one of the questions there and discussion items is, will we want to go to a dumpster style pickup? Hoyt and I talked about that. He was afraid if we put a dumpster out there, regardless of size, that neighbors would try to use it.
At the depot.
So that's why we stuck with the 96-gallon. Old City Hall, maintain 1 96-gallon cart. The waste treatment plant, 1 96-gallon cart with once a week pickup, and a 4 cubic yard dumpster with pickup on an as-needed basis. Number 5 was at the Raffy Banks Park. We would like to maintain either 3 carts or a 4 cubic yard dumpster. The same at the fitness park. If the 4 cubic yard dumpster are 6 carts. And then for city-sponsored events, what we put down is rubber days, 8 cubic yard dumpster, 24 carts with pickup immediately after the event. Fall Festival, 1 8 cubic yard dumpster with 24 carts with pickup for each day of the 2-day event. And the car show, even though it's not a city event, it is an annual event. So based on the discussions was about 8 carts would be enough. And then 9,
So
yes,
I'm just wanted to make sure, I mean, are we stating that we don't want the dumpsters at Rafe Banks and the fitness park?
No, I listed them both so we can have a discussion, one with
Okay.
whoever bids it, and two amongst ourselves.
Okay.
And Hoyt, which one makes more sense? Once again, having carts that we can roll up for pickup
Mhm.
versus the dumpster, who's gonna use the dumpster? How do we control it?
Agreed.
That's why I listed them both, and we can make
Okay.
that decision. In the past, you guys have had community-wide household collection events. We haven't done that in a while. The discussion there is if we do it, it would have to be a manned event, meaning employees, and not leaving the dumpsters out for a week at a time and letting people just bring. But we would supervise like one Saturday, twice a year, so somebody can see what people are trying to get put in, so no tires, no aerosols, no paint, none of the bad stuff. So that's up for discussion with you as council, if you would like to try to tackle that as a, bring that back as an opportunity for the community to use. And then number 9, at the city shop, to maintain either one 8 cubic yard dumpster, well, actually one 8 cubic yard dumpster, excuse me. That would meet our needs, it would give us an opportunity to access the 20 cubic yard dumpster that we use twice a year. And we keep garbage in it full time, so it would reduce the number of garbage, it would reduce any concerns, or issues there with the regular pickup. So if you agree with those, let me know. If you think we need to add one or take one off, let me know.
I think we also need to consider the bulk day where people can put out the bulk items out of the street, like we've done in years past.
That's not right.
Here's my question, is the city gonna pay for it, or is the individual gonna pay for it?
I don't know how it was done in years past, but in years past, they've been able to, like, if there was a chair or nothing like a refrigerator, but like a chair or a mattress, they could put it out the side and it would be picked up.
It would be an additional cost, and we would definitely need to have that discussion of what party pays for it.
Okay.
So that wouldn't fall under number 8?
I think
Is
what
that-
they did is,
Pre-positioning like at the park and having dumpsters there and letting people bring the.
But stuff like, she's talking about like chairs and
She's
stuff,
talking
they
about
could.
like a month, yeah, yes, they could do
So,
that.
okay.
I think, Juliet, you're talking about like a monthly or something.
no, it was
It's
It's
one
like a
month.
one-time a year thing.
Yeah, it was
And
once
there
a
was
year.
Call spring cleanup.
Yeah,
There wasn't no charge.
we only did it once a year.
Call spring cleanup.
Mm-hmm.
And they take
But
out
I
the
think
charge.
they went away from that and then did this
The dump-
dumpster
They did dumpster, then what,
and then didn't do anything. I think's what happened.
they called dumpster.
I don't remember the dumpster, I just know we did the curbside pickup.
The dumpster.
One time a year.
Before you came, I think, the dumpster was.
City did or Hall County?
The city.
City did it.
In either
Yeah.
scenario,
Yeah.
we can write it in here, it's just gonna affect what their bid price is on
Right.
an individual. So would you rather do that or a city
I
round?
think it would probably be cheaper, doing
We gotta look at that.
the dumpster in one location than going
Yeah,
around picking up.
Separate it, if we do, each resident can put one at the curb. You gotta have 2 people in a truck then, instead of one empty.
Yeah, it would not be a side load for that, would it? It would require them to bring
Bring a different truck
Right,
on that particular day.
yeah, that's what, I think 8 would be, I don't know though, I mean, we'd have to talk to them, but I think 8 would be more cost effective.
We can, Joey, I can rewrite that a little bit to make it an or.
And see what the difference would be.
Either both ways, curbside pickup at the houses or at a pre-stage, and see what they come back with a proposal. That's all I had on that.
You also might wanna change in the subject, the spelling of Lula.
Yeah, I noticed that.
The what?
L-U-L-E,
We're Luli instead of Lula.
very first sentence, under subject.
Is Lulu a word?
No.
It is
Lulu-
now.
Lululemon, show right there.
Oh, yeah.
That's Lululemon, that's
Yeah,
Lululemon.
Lulu.
Lululemon.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I appreciate that.
So this will be back Monday night for your consideration.
Okay.
Johnny, was there anything you wanted to add?
No, I just do want to let you know that if we put it out for bid, you can expect some response from our current vendor, because we would have to give the notice required under the existing contract that we want to terminate it and give them, offer them the opportunity 30 days to cure the breach. So I'll be looking for is the laundry list of what council deems to be a breach of our current solid waste contract. So the complaints that y'all have turned in.
They can still bid this too, couldn't they?
They could bid this, but I think they're gonna come at it the other way. I just want y'all to be prepared for
I
that,
think so,
and
too.
we'll be all right.
I agree with Joe, unless we call it a breach, they would come back and say they still have 3 years to run.
Yeah.
Bless you.
And they seem to be damaging with trash cans lately too, I've noticed. We seem to get more trash can damage than we had in the past. It seems to be increasing. I'm just, general observation, that's all it is. Okay, well, I appreciate that. And now we're down to, Article 10.
The planning commission saw this last week, so this is starting the more detailed information as far as reviews and site review and designs. And I would say this is more on the design side. So this is definitely looking for your input. Do we care? Should we care? So let me know. And like I told the planning commission, if you have any comments on the layout of the stuff we talked about last month, which was the zoning districts, permitted uses, proposed setbacks, densities, and all that, please let me know so we can address those. But this follows the other chapters that we've done so far. So you get a section of findings, purpose. We go into definitions, and we list those out because we wanted to bring to attention of anybody that's trying to design within the community, trying to make them look at the buildings they're proposing, that they're not just big boxes, that after a certain size that they have to start changing heights, setbacks, things to make the building look more, for lack of a better term, pedestrian friendly, looking at how to make those fit. We talk about different compatibilities, cohesiveness, roof types, cornices, copings, dormers, eaves. So we're just trying to lay out the definitions here. Direct lights, when you get on the fenestration on page 90, I will tell you that's coming out more on the historic preservation side of the equation, where they're more concerned with that. So since we do not have a formal historic district, that may be one that you're willing to consider not having in there. The section 10-1-5 talks about exemptions. Basically, we're looking at 1 and 2 family homes would not fall into this, so we're talking commercial, retail, industrial buildings. Reoccupancy, we're not worried about changing what's already there. Interior renovations will not be impacted by this. Then we get into the character areas, and this comes out of our comprehensive plan. Basically, you have North Lula, South Lula, Highway 365, a Main Street, neighborhood, Lula Road, industrial, and agricultural rural. So as we go through those, most of this would apply to the ones that are obviously commercial, industrial related. Excuse me. We start a little bit under the process of where things go in 10-2. Basically, to get a land development permit, a preliminary plat, you have to have gone through your site design, your architectural design review, and before you ever get to a building permit. And one of the things that the Planning Commission is interested in is being more involved up front on the layout of the site, of the development itself. So bear that in mind as we keep going.
You're talking about the site and architectural design review, they're wanting to be more involved in that portion.
That, but also just the site itself before we ever get to buildings. And so infrastructure, grading, cuts and fills, stormwater, those kind of questions. They were more interested in getting focused into that than looking at the buildings themselves. Yes, no? All right. But we lay out some basic how we would proceed through this, what we would expect to get from the applicants. We go on to criteria on designs, so how the land development code and design codes fit together with the character areas and compatibility. It gives the decision, who makes the decision in 10-2-8 with the applications. 10-2-9 is how we give notice. 2-10 is reapplication if we turn it down. 2-11 is we expect the applicant to stick within what's been approved. And 10-3, we get into site-specific designs, so grading at the bottom of page 98. Looking at cuts and fills, basically we're asking them to look at the terrain and not have huge cuts or 10-foot retaining walls next to buildings because they didn't think about the site and try to work the cut and fills so it's more even, more natural. And that's what you see on page 99, the drawings, is trying to get away from the walls and making them actually design the slopes and use the slopes. Stormwater has already been addressed earlier in other chapters, but we're trying to reiterate that they have to take that in consideration both on their slopes and whether they use detention, retention, or bioretention. If any of you have been out to the BP site, their bioretention place, if you needed to get rid of something that you didn't want anybody to find, right now is about a good time to make it happen because I was amazed how deep that hole was for all the materials that they're going to bring up so the water will filter through and out. I really didn't expect to be 12, 13 feet deep. So it's a big hole.
I thought it buried tanks.
It's what?
I thought first it was buried tanks, but
No, that's the retention, the tanks in the other place. It's just, it was, you see it on paper in the review product, but when you think about it going, it just doesn't register as that deep. If you fell in, you fell in, you weren't gonna get out on your own. Okay. We asked them to look at parking and loading areas and utilities, so how do we address where they should be? One of the things I think we're asking here is, in most of the places, they should not be on the front. We'd prefer them on the side or rear, just to have the building, from an aesthetic point of view. That's the same with the loading areas, utilities. Pedestrian circulation, we're asking them to look at that and incorporate that into their plans so it's walkable. We're asking them to make the interparcel areas interconnected with drive aisles So basically, who gets there first gets to determine where the drive aisle is gonna be, but you have to interconnect. You can't just isolate and force people back, get in their cars back on the street to go 2 stores down. Is what the intent there is. We get into outdoor lightings on page 103. What we're looking for, bottom line, is that the lights are focused downward. And if any of you have the opportunity to go to the new park, Gainesville Recreation Park that opened this weekend, Cooper, down to just past Rabbit Town, or outside of Rabbit Town by the old school. Look at their stadium lights that they use for the fields. It's the first time I've seen them. They don't point out there. Directly point. It's different, but $27 million.
Oh, wow.
So.
But it's pretty.
No, and it's needed, don't get me wrong, but it was interesting to see the lights and how they're actually not the standard lights, the stadium lights that you're used to seeing at the ball fields. They're actually canted down and inward. So that's what we're talking about. We give illustrations of what are cutoff fixtures that we're discussing, where we want lights shielded, so even the security lights, we want them focused down and not create a
And that's a
spillover
good
effect.
thing, because the 76 down here, they've got a big one right on the side of the building. You pull out on my road, you're blinded at night. My husband fussed at me
Coming
this
to
week,
home,
just
coming,
the,
coming to home right at a Commerce one too.
yes,
Oh, at the beauty shop there.
yeah,
Right.
it's crazy.
So we also discussed the wall-mounted lights, basically what type of lights would be prohibited under our ordinance. We get into foot candles, which we expect the engineers to design to, both for residential, office, commercial, and light industrial areas. So minimum, average, and maximum for each light. That's something we've not asked for in the past, but it's certainly an issue and will be an issue as more development occurs. Chapter 10.4, we start talking about cuts and fills specifically, and how to address the steep slope areas and where to stay back. So if you go to page 106, we're looking at how to grade hilltops, what we expect. We're expecting somebody to incorporate slope instead of just cutting it and making it look unnatural. Try to keep it to a more natural slopes. We're asking them to look at when they put in their drive aisles, roads, that it makes more sense following the natural contours versus steeper slopes, or trying to cut across the green. And then 10.5, we get into the architectural guidelines. This is where we started this discussion. How do we make the new buildings fit in with the existing buildings, especially in infill areas? Size, height, width, and massing, fenestrations, which is windows. How do we make them look similar to the other buildings versus, I know everybody wants to be unique and stand out, but in this, we're asking people to take in more consideration. How do you fit it in to existing? 10.5 is building design styles. We do accommodate franchise architecture, and I will tell you, and like I told the folks on the Planning Commission, the Dollar Generals of the world, any of the dollar stores, they generally have at least 5 design standards. They will typically come with the lowest quality one first. So if you want a brick one, I can tell you they all have brick plans on the shelves. So when you start measuring what we want as a community, this is where we can start looking at that. We talk about building materials and mixes and matches and what can be a primary and what accent. So one of the things here that we're looking for, if you go to page 109, is that there are similar finishes on on all the sides, so not just having a brick front and metal sides and rear, that you incorporate it in. Here it states our preference is basically for brick or stone because of the permanence that it provides. Wood may be appropriate in a specific context and where it's at. Some of the things that we wouldn't necessarily want is the exterior insulating and finish system, EFIS, or dry vit materials. And if they do want to use it, it's limited to a height of only 10 feet. We talk about fiber cement, we talk about glass, stucco. Our discussion on stucco is Georgia's not the best place for stucco. Okay, so we prefer you do something else besides stucco. Cast in place concrete, that's what you see, I would say Kubota. So it's not a no, but we would prefer it to be a accent or incorporate other design elements into it also. We talk about architectural metal cladding and what I think we're trying to talk that it would only be permitted in industrial zoning areas, not in a commercial or retail context, and that we would not really expect it in the Highway 365 corridor overlay. So their roofs, we're giving a minimum pitch of 3 and 12. The flat roofs are basically 1 and 12. So we're telling them, don't come with a flat roof, you gotta come with something more. And that's just long-term durability and appearance. And I think part of that comment goes to Office Pro, who we get our furniture and supplies from. They finally moved out of their building down in Gainesville and moved out to Thompson Bridge Road. I walked in the store today and it was like, it's empty. Had to go back outside and look at the sign. But that was part of, that building's been around a while, but it does have some leaks, and it has to do with the roof. We talk about corner lots and how they incorporate and fit into the rest of the development. We talk about awnings and canopies. Right now, we generally don't address it, but we're basically asking them to incorporate it. And if you're going to use it, excuse me. If you're going to use awnings, make it part of a master plan that it applies to all the storefronts and buildings, so it looks cohesive. Colors. I know some of us are more colorful than others and like other colors. While we did not say anything could not be used, I think the most obvious one is high intensity of fluorescent colors shall not be used, so there is one. Looking at trim and various lights, and colors, the architectural lighting, where they're used, accessory buildings, they should look similar to the main building. So, and like I said, you gotta remember this applies to commercial and industrial, not to residential. So we're asking our commercial side, industrial folks to plan their buildings to look similar to each other, even the accessories. We talk about fences and walls and how long or high trash and recycle areas, basically having them fenced or hidden off. If you look on page 113, you see two illustrations that would suggest what we're looking for, either stone or something similar to the material of the main building, or some kind of brick and something that fits the environment, not one, it prevents trash from blowing around, two, it prevents No, it doesn't prevent. It discourages people from using other people's dumpsters. And just from the beautification, that you don't necessarily have to see that. We apply those same type of standards to HVAC and other outside utilities. 10.6 is pedestrian retail guidelines. We don't have a lot of that right now, but we're asking people to think about it, especially looking at future, is how do you make it, the site accessible? So if you're gonna have a mixed use where live, work, or any of those, how do you make the downstairs look commercial and let the upstairs be residential? And work, we look at how do we intend the sidewalks to be used? And then one of the options that we look at, and it's directly from Gainesville, is these bump outs. And part of that is to,
Yeah, turn heat down.
further,
Just kick off now. You want to?
because it should have been on 69.
It was.
Okay.
It says it's 69 here, obviously.
I'm wondering if the heat's blowing in from the other room because it's blowing in that.
That one normally isn't on, but we probably need to close that thing. This one normally don't come on. I'll check.
But we're asking to look at the options of how do you flow parking, how do you slow traffic down, especially in these areas where we expect people to be able to walk. So bump outs, whether they're vegetative like trees that you see in the image, or bumped out parking, those are there. We're asking people to consider how they place buildings on the corners next to each other. If you go over a number of stories, we're asking them to do setbacks, so it's not a straight lift, but that you actually have some setback in the buildings. 10.6.8 talks about the cornices, and once again, I'm telling you, we're getting in the historic preservation realm here. It's not bad, but it's something I need you to tell me whether you want to keep it in there and controls. So we're talking about how the buildings look, where the windows and doors should go, what type of doors. And 10.6.9, once again, addresses parking, asking people to put the parking to the rear and not to the front of the buildings. We talk about parking decks, not that we're going to have any anytime soon. But if you're going to do it, make the lower level contain commercial spots, retail spots, office spots versus just seeing cars. We talk about live work units, we talk about new buildings in relation to streets. The ratio of how much of the facade covers the property frontage and how they should be respected, and leave us some open space, which gets us to mixed-use buildings, and then the open space sections. If we're doing a major project, we're asking you to take those into account, so you're not just giving me the main parcel and outlots, but that you're actually looking at the site and giving some walking area, giving some green space, things to break up the commercial. That's what the chapter 10.8, which starts on 120, is getting to, is trying to break everything up and give it, instead of the big field, give it some walkability fields and get around the area without having to get in your car to go a couple buildings down. The final sections there deal with sign materials and sign sizes. Once again, this is a question for you. Do you care? Do you think the sign ordinance as it is adequate? Which we went over earlier. A couple months ago, we talked about signs having no more than 3 colors. The colors of the signs should be coordinated with the building, so they shouldn't stand out too much. Straight, white, or other light colored backgrounds for signs should not be utilized, so there should be other aspects. And how do you place them on the buildings? And like I said, that element gets into historic preservation. but do we want to apply it to new future development too? So that's what this chapter was about. I certainly, any comments, suggestions, like I said, it doesn't, once you read it and look at it in total, it doesn't say it shall be this or it shall not be this. So there's some vagueness there to give the designer some ability to incorporate other things and present to us to look at versus going, this is the only way it's going to be. So, and that was an intentional effort to let design folks design something and let us take a look at it from our stuff, from your side, and how it fits the community versus going, it shall be X and Y, and that's it. Questions?
It's just starting.
We're in the fun stuff right now. Nice couple months. There's not a perfect answer. Okay, if there was, we'd all be using it. But it's what you want the future of the community to look like. So, any comments, suggestions over the next week, next month, please give them in, and we will try to incorporate.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
Okay, it's time for citizens' comments. I got those. Come on, girl. You can sit right there if you want to.
Marilyn Greer, 6641 Main Street. And I just wanted to, I hate my back is turned to those back there, but you can hear me. I just want to remind you about the event that's happening this Saturday. This Saturday at the Lula Depot. This came about because when Mordecai passed away, that his family was planning on coming back here on March 15th to celebrate his 100th birthday. So it was mentioned while they were here in January that that they would love to come back, not for a birthday party, but just to honor not just Mordecai, but Mary, his wife, that, as many of you know, was the governess to those boys growing up. So they feel like that's another mom. So that's how this came about. And so some citizens joined in and said, we want to be a part of this. Springfield Baptist wanted to be a part of us, and Lula Ladies. So we just want you to know that this Saturday at the depot from 12 to 4, it's a drop-in. You don't have to.
Did you change it from 11?
Yeah, it's 12 to 4. They wanted 4 hours. I'm the one that said 1 to 4.
Okay.
So they wanted a little more time. Everybody did. And so 12 to 4. And just come and be with us, and we're just going to hear some more stories. It's very casual drop-in, a lot of memories. We've pulled a lot of memorabilia from the Sons to have on some exhibit, and it's just going to be a fun time. There will not be birthday balloons and things like that. We're not trying to recreate that. It's simply called in memory of Mary and Mordecai Wilson. So we would love for y'all to come and have some snacks with us and be with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Citizen comment, Robert, you got anything you want to add?
Yeah, I will, I'll say something, that's what I got here later. Is we are gonna be, Robert Grizzle, 640 Emerald Lake, Little Georgia, got that out of the way. You know, we've got to embrace the growth that's coming to us, you know, cause it's coming, there's a lot of it, you know, looking our way. But looking at developers who come in with ultimatums, threats of lawsuits, things like that, at the onset, I mean, is that really the developers that we want to welcome into our community? We don't need to give up zoning just because of ultimatums and threats of highway business. You know, that's, again, that is precious to us here at Little, that we got that. with the way that 365 is looking at it's gonna change, right there ending at Belton, and that property being highway business, that one development right there at the end of that 365 development is gonna make that property even more valuable for highway business. Now, I understand the owners wanna sell it, we get that, but zoning, as we see, is zoning. And highway business is highway business, and it can be worked around that, that we keep that. I'm sure as a property owner, we'd like to see their property sold. And it has been slow to develop on highway business here along 365. But with the growth that we now have coming, that's when you gotta look at that, it's the time that it could happen. And we as a city need to keep that open for that. As the development authority, being on the board of that, we definitely need to acquire more highway business property, not give it up. So I hope the council will always also look at that as they look at all the developments that are coming this way and headed here. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Yes, sir.
Just so in your handouts, the county is doing their District 3 public meeting tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock at the depot. The second item is I sent an email to each of you requesting committee meetings for the remainder of this week and part of next week. And then I also gave you a handout with the SPLOST 9 expectations. They're not finalized numbers, but they are pretty close to where I believe the county's gonna wind up at their next meeting. So, and then I gave you a list of potential projects based on what we've done in the past and what's out there. And you can see there's a big difference between what we expect to receive and what we would like to spend. So that's part of one of the items we'll discuss in the committee meetings with each committee.
You said that was emailed out?
Yes,
Okay, I ain't seen that.
so that's all I have.
Should be ready to start too.
Is it? Okay, yeah, I can use that.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna miss that meeting tomorrow night. I have right here in front of me. Okay, we're gonna have an executive session now. We're gonna do council comments first. And then we're gonna have, still got on, right, Joey? Executive session?
Yes, sir.
I thought so. So we'll do council comments first, then we'll have the executive session. If we make a decision, we'll come back and announce it. All right, council comments. Julie, you gonna start tonight?
Sure. Thank you for those that came out, and I will see you next week. Sorry, there's not a lot out of me this week.
Thank everyone for coming, and definitely agree with Merle. Let's make up Saturday and go to that. Thank everybody for coming, and let's get ready for some spring weather here at some point.
Please.
Yeah,
Is it?
yep,
All right.
short and sweet.
We're all being short and sweet. I'm just gonna thank everyone that showed up for coming. We're very few in number tonight, but thank you for those that did come out. I'm gonna pass the torch.
Sure. I suppose they're out enjoying the weather. No. Those that are here, I do thank you, and those that are watching online, thank you as well. I know that we moved through this meeting a little quickly, more quickly than some, but you know, we're making progress, and you know, I see really good things for this city. Various improvements that will just make the operations of this city much more expedient. And I think that everyone will start to see that as we move through this year, because there's a lot on the agenda to get done. So, but again, thank you all for allowing us to be here, and we definitely need your support. Thank you.
Okay, don't forget Railroad Days, first weekend in May. Everybody, get your application in, parade, the good stuff. Come and have fun. See, people at the front office there, and they'll fix you right up. I'll be at a meeting next Monday night here at City Hall, council meeting, 7 o'clock. Historical Society is the 24th at 7 o'clock at the depot. The Lula Belt Party is Tuesday the 25th here at City Hall at 6 o'clock. The Lula Ladies is Wednesday the 26th at noon at 6:30 at the depot. And the Planning Commission meets April 1st. Have food for them too at 6 o'clock here at City Hall. Now, I think that's all the announcements I had, I think. Don't forget Greg Poo's meeting tomorrow night. Actually, it's Hall County meeting, but Greg Poo's been in charge of it, I think, so. It's a depot. Yep. Okay, I entertain a motion to go to executive session now.
Make a motion to go into executive session. Second.
Motion by Garnet, second by Chris to go to executive session, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Give us about 3 minutes.